Hello, this is Gemma Fawcett. I'm doing this video for my YouTube channel. It is a channel that I wrote last night for How to Live an Awakened Life workshop. And the channel is on considering a small pivot in your life. I did a morning daily message on this, but when I do my channels, I anchor myself into the frequency of love, and then I allow the messages to come through for my group, what, consciousness wants us to focus on or to learn next, something like that. So this is the message. I don't have these memorized. I don't even try to memorize them. They're pretty awesome. So I'm going to give you kind of an excerpt from our How to Live an Awakened Life workshop last night. I'm going to read you the channel, which is 3 pages, handwritten, and then I'm going to give you a deeper insight if I can tune into that and share with you a little bit more. Okay, so here it goes. Consider the smallest pivot as key to changing the reality ahead of you. You live in a matrix of infinite possibility. As you make choices, you create new realities. Your choice is the key. Your world cannot change without you changing to be a match to it. And the clincher is you have to change, usually prior to the reality shift. It takes a conscious person to break out of the patterns and routines. Those will definitely keep you on the same path. There is no expansion, no excitement, no surprises on that path. But for you to just learn something new, change a pattern to a conscious present moment experience, to make a choice that in any way alters previous behaviors will give you a huge realm of new possibility and options. You may think your gesture too small to matter, but there is no such thing. Even the slightest pivot creates ripples in time beyond what you can imagine. So be grateful, be abundant, and share it. Be thoughtful and spread kindness. The slightest effort on your part will change the world as you know it. All you have to do is be willing to be inspired. Try something new. Choose a feel-better action. Let go of the old. Miracles will begin to happen in your life. Life will get easier. Enjoying yourself will become your natural state of being. You'll become more present, curious, and playful, all of which will contribute to you being more loving. And it all comes of tiny little conscious changes. Perhaps you say hi to 3 people in the morning, or take soda out of your diet, or let go of an old grudge. Change your hairstyle. Anything is possible. When you make choices consciously, you will be more likely to choose the frequency of what you want more of in your life. You are making these little changes, creating forward momentum along new probabilities, forever changing the future that you will have. Just being present, being willing to observe the world around you will change its outcomes. Why not be more childlike, curious, inspired, and playful? Find a way to see your world with new eyes. That is what it's all about. When you choose to learn something new, you see the world through new eyes. Letting go of old stories allows room for new ones. And choosing action in frequency that is aligned with your truth guarantees your new story's frequency will be of the best yet. Recognize that you deserve all of this and much, much more. It reveals itself as you are ready to receive it. Play and explore. Ask as many questions as you can think of, and watch your frequency expand. As it does, so will your heart energy. You will find more of what you want at your fingertips. Enjoy every minute. So this is a powerful channel because it's reminding us of the fact that as we are finding out more and more, we are living in this quantum matrix, this quantum universe reality. There are all these probabilities of our lives available to us. And yet, so many people in their unconscious routines and patterns choose the same exact probability every time, the same reality. When the fact is that just the slightest little shift will embark you onto a whole new fork of probability. And that fork will take you further and further away from the one you're on. So understand that there is only contraction and expansion. And as we choose expansion, we continue to step into new probabilities. But as we choose contraction, we don't leave the one we're on. And so it's up to you to make choices every day that take you into conscious present now moment. And that is it's about making decisions in this now place that you're in, now place. So it's about being present enough to use your senses. Senses exist in the now moment. What doesn't exist in the now moment is fear. Fear is something that takes us out of present moment. Because when we fear, we immediately go into memory or the what ifs in the future. It takes us out of the now moment. So we have this amazing matrix of yumminess to co-create in. And how do we co-create in this reality? First of all, we become aware of what we want, aware of what we don't want. This is a powerful, powerful state of being. From awareness, we go into the idea of we have the idea of what we want. So now we're into the idea of asking for it. It's one thing to know what you want. It's another thing to be willing to ask for it, to be worthy of receiving it. So we go into ask mode. Now, ask mode only can work. We can only move forward in this process of co-creating if we continue to be present. Because as a co-creator, there will be inspired action handed to us to do as part of the manifesting process. Without being present in this now moment, you will not be able to receive the inspired action to co-create. Now, another cool side note of this whole idea of inspired action is that inspired action and loving yourself go hand in hand. To be willing to be present to receive inspired action is loving yourself. If you're not willing to love yourself, you cannot be present in this now moment. Willingness to love yourself is critical, and that is why so many people are unconscious, because they're not willing to be here now. They're not willing to be vulnerable, to be in the unknown, to be willing to not know what's going to happen in this next moment. Because when we focus in and we're present, there is this childlike quality of being open to change, open to newness, open to possibility. The curiosity is based on the fact that something is not known. So you want to be a co-creator. Co-creating could be as simple as how to be a better mother, how to garden, how to make food that tastes better. It could be anything. Being a co-creator doesn't mean you have to be an inventor, create something that, is going to make it into the Guinness Book of Records or something. No, it's just the fact that you're being present and willing. So presentness and willingness allow us to be present. Inspired action appears. We choose to follow the inspired action. As we make a practice of following inspired action, we choose it more and more and more, because it feels so good. Because inspired action follows the practice of mindfulness. And doing that inspired action begins to become the path, the only path, the path of least resistance that gives us the biggest outcome. Because we are on a path of passion, of calling, of creating that which has never been before. And we know in our deepest hearts that creating that which has never been before is going to expand consciousness. And that is a big element of our purpose here. It's a big element of why we chose to come, because this is the only place that consciousness can expand. Because outside of this reality, consciousness has no judgment. Consciousness has no contrast. There is no contrast. Without contrast, there cannot be creating, and without creating, there cannot be expansion. So choose to pivot your life more in the direction of loving yourself, of co-creating, of choosing things that make your heart sing. As we choose things that make our heart sing, we are on the co-creative path. That heart singing, that bliss that comes out of the creative process. And this is why so many people, when they get pregnant, there's a bliss, a glowing, a happiness beyond anything they felt, because they're co-creating. But how about we choose to do that in our daily lives? Okay, so you landscaped your yard, but why can't you make some adjustments? Why can't you make some tweaks in it to cause it to be something fresh and something new? Why can't you tweak inside your house? Move some furniture, paint a wall. Why can't you tweak the way you look? Buy a new look, buy a new color to add to your wardrobe. Are you being conscious when you go to the hairdresser, or do you say, hey, give me the same old? Or are you really feeling passionate about your hairstyle? I am passionate about my hair. I know I have very little of it, but I am passionate about it. I feel so good about it. This way, I feel good when I cut it and I'm loving myself. So what kind of choices can you make today to put you in that place where you know you're available? You're available for the process of co-creating. You're available for being on board with your passion, on board with your calling. I got to tell you, and I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. When we unconditionally love ourselves, when we begin this path of loving ourselves and mindfulness into love ourselves, not just the world around us, but us, we matter. It's not anyone else's job to do it. So when we get on board with that and we become mindful of it, the inspired action comes. As the inspired action comes and we stay in alignment with that and we stay curious and we follow it, we address it, we do what it asks, we follow the inspired action, more unconditional love builds in us, and we begin to feel this ecstatic freedom and power that we did not feel in our unconscious ways. As we follow the inspired action, it leads us into more unconditional love. We find our passion, we trip into it, and that passion, it becomes the core of our life. And what that means, when I say core of our life, that passion overflows every aspect of your life. And if your boyfriend's not aligned with your passion, it's not working. You're going to let him go. If your environment is not aligned with what you're passionate about, what you teach to others, what you share as your passion, you're going to change your environment. If the way you dress is not aligned with your passion, you're going to change your dress. And relationships, all relationships, your language, if your language is not aligned with your passion, you're going to make adjustments. Habits, diet, everything about you will begin to align with your passion, and you will know that not aligning it is no longer an option, because the joy of following the inspired action into this process of expanding our personal frequency is so magnificent, it's so delightful that we can't not do it. Therefore, if there is an element of your life that is below the passion, that does not align with the passion, that is going to be a floor to your frequency, and it's going to hold you back from expansion. So it may have been in the middle between the floor and the ceiling at one point, but as you raise that frequency, following that inspired action and living unconditional love for yourself, that got closer and closer to your floor until it could no longer be ignored, because now it is the floor, and now unless you release it below the floor, you cannot expand any further. So address that dirty refrigerator, address that person in your life that treats you poorly, address the diet that is not serving you in these higher frequencies, that is not allowing you to branch further into this expanded frequency. So this is very exciting. Now, as you clean up your experience to mesh and match with your passion, you will receive more inspired action, and you continue to follow it. And loving yourself unconditionally is becoming the go-to. It is effortless. It is happening. You notice when you're not loving yourself, and you're beginning to take action in those moments too. You're not waiting months. You're not holding grudges for months. You're getting on it right away, because you know you want this feel-good feeling that comes from being the empowered person who loves yourself. So you continue to follow the inspired action and the loving yourself. And this is when the greatest things happen. Your passion becomes your calling. And as that shifts from passion to calling, and it amps you into a whole new frequency, you then align your entire life again to align with that calling, the frequency of that calling. And that calling becomes like It becomes the essence of who you are. And so many people today are lost. They do not know what their passion is. They do not know what their calling is. They are lost to it because they spent so many years negating their intuitive knowing, their intuitive knowing into their own personal truth. They negated their ability to practice going within, practice knowing who their authentic self was. And instead they practiced aligning with society, aligning with culture, aligning with the outside world. And in that alignment and in that focus in programs to manage the survival of the outside world, they forgot. They forgot all this rest because it's not being taught in schools how to be mindful, how to meditate, how to connect within, how to expand heart energy. None of this is being taught. So it's just time. It's time for us all to come full circle, come back to that intuitive quality that gives us the ability to communicate with consciousness. You may call it God, you may call it universe, you may call it Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, any number of things, ascended masters. So you can call it any of those things because those all are the aspects of consciousness which hold space, hold I want to say just the greatness of who we are in the palm of their hand. And it is only us who have forgotten along the way. So at any time, we can just wake up and we can remember the greatness of who we are. It doesn't make us pompous. It doesn't make us arrogant. It doesn't make us selfish. It makes us true. It makes us love. And it makes us empowered to come into alignment with your passion and your calling. All right. That's a whopper message. So anyway, I love you all very much. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you hugs, lots of hugs. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a wonderful day and enjoy. If you can't think of one little thing to do to shift your life, then just take a few seconds every day. Maybe you could do it a couple times a day. Maybe you can type it in your phone. Maybe you can record it on your phone or put it on social media. Every single day, just say a few things that you're grateful for. That will change your life. All right, till next time, goodbye.